So, we'll look at some scissor sweep concepts. Okay, so there's 5 things we need to be thinking about when we hit the scissor sweep. This is Carl makes his grips, and probably at the real basic level he's going to make a collar grip, and then he's going to get into a scissor sweep position. So we do not want this knee down low like this. Okay? Probably the main thing I'm going to be doing is pushing down on this knee so I can collapse it. And anytime I can get Carl's both knees past my center line, I can use my hand to push his foot off my hip, and now I'm past the guard. So from our position, we definitely do not want this knee coming down. It's probably the main kind of thing that's going to happen when we go for this scissor sweep position. Again, just like the hip bump sweep, this is a very mechanically strong sweep because as Danaher talked about, we have this double directionality where I've got 2 forces going in opposite directions. If you think about when I go for this scissor sweep, I make my knee sheet, okay, my right foot's kicking to my left, and my left foot is kicking to the right. So we've got 2 opposing forces. That makes the sweep very, very strong, but then when you go to hit it, when you're sparring, there's a lot of things happen which kind of weakens it. So the first thing I'm thinking about is where my knee line is. Now, when I make the grip, the first grip, again, just be like the hip bump sweep, I'm going to have my wrist covering Carl's wrist. Okay? And I'm going to make that first initial grip on the collar. And when I hip escape onto my side, I can do this 3 ways. I can open my guard, put my foot on the mat, and shrimp onto my side to bring my knee sheet in. That's one way. Secondly, I can put my foot in Carl's hip and use that to turn my hip and bring my knee out. But the best is I just open my legs and use the contact, the connection of my legs on his hips to physically turn my hip. And now I'm going to bring my knee up. So I'm going to put my foot on his hip. I'm going to bring my knee straight up. And I'm going to use that grip that I have in the collar to make a wedge against the inside of my knee. Because even if it's there, Carl can use his hand to push it down. Whereas when I pull on the collar, and I have the inside of my wrist against the inside of my knee, it's actually Carl's geese. It's keeping my knee in place. So from here, that's the first thing we're thinking about, is actually keeping my knee straight up. From here, I need to get Carl's head in front of his hips. So I'm going to use the connection of my foot. Again, a lot of people start pulling on the lapel here to try and actually get to load the weight. I want Carl's head in front of his hips. That can be difficult. Okay? So you want to think about what I'm doing with this right foot of mine. I actually L-shape it and I connect my instep, okay, to Carl's left lat. So once I start loading his weight onto me, now I'm going to put all the weight onto Carl's right knee this way. Okay. So now I've nearly got him on one knee. You can't see this visually, but Carl can feel all his weight is on his right knee. So that's the 3rd thing we're thinking about. The 4th thing we're thinking about is, sit up there, bro. Look at the position of Carl's hip and knee. Okay. Just lift your ass up in the air. Perfect. If Carl's knee is in line with his hip, we're going to use the scissor sweep. Anytime Carl widens his knee, instead of scissoring, we're going to push it to actually get it in line with his hip. Okay? So that's the fourth thing we're thinking about. So back to the start, from our position, we're going to find that sleeve control. I'm going to sit up, get that lapel grip, and now I open my legs and I use the connection of my legs to shrimp on the inside. You might find this hard at the start if you've never done this before, so you can put your foot on his hip or you can put your foot on the mat. But then there's the risk of when I do that, Carl might try to pass my guard. So when I shrimp onto my side, I bring my knee up and I make a wedge with the inside of my right knee to the inside of my wrist, which makes it very difficult for him to see that knee. From there, I'm starting to use that L shape and the collar to assist, but it's mainly my foot pulling him forward. So I'm loading the weight, okay, of his head past his hips, whereby now he has to start framing on me with his hands or he's falling. But I'm not just bringing his weight forward, I actually bring it also onto the knee that I'm going to sweep. Now in this instance, Carl's knee is outside his hip, so I'll be pushing it, but he's going to bring it in a little bit narrow from here. So if his knee is in line with his hip, now from where this leg foot just drops off the hip, and we have that double directionality, where I kick with my right leg to my left, and I scissor with my left leg to my right. Okay. Once I get to here, I'm going to fill the space. A lot of people mess up from this position, whereby I don't get my hip over Carl's. Carl's already hipping escape and putting me into single leg X. So the minute I sweep him from this position, I don't even think about the collar or the hand. All I think about is putting my hands on the mat, very much like that hip bump sweep. So now when Carl tries to hip away, my hips are over his. Let's just take a look at that again. So I have my grip. I'm looking for the collar, okay, and now I shrimp onto my side, and I get my knee pointing straight up, and I assist it with my right hand. Okay, so I think Carl tries to smash my knee down, it's difficult. My other foot is going to go on the hip for now, so I've kind of like box principle. If you think about it, I have 2 feet, a knee, and my hand, and Carl's 2 shoulders and 2 hips. Carl actually tries to put weight in me now. It's very difficult. I can keep him back and I'm solid from this position. So from here, all I'm going to do is start loading the weight forward and towards his knee. If his knee is in line with his hip, this foot's dropping down, and now I have that scissoring action to take it over. Now again, look how far my right hip is from Carl's left hip. This is where everyone messes up when you lose the position. As I try to mount, Carl's already bringing his knee in, take it back a step. So it's all about the race to get my hip over Carl's. So I don't even keep this grip. Remember when we were playing the hip bump sweep, what was one of the concepts we were thinking about? Building a base and getting my head higher than Carl's. So now I just put my hands on the mat, and it's a race to see if Carl can bring his knee through, and I'm on top. Just turn around so we don't start gripping. So from our position, so there's 5 things we want to be thinking about. When I make that grip on the sleeve and I go for that collar grip, I open my legs, I turn onto my side, and I make sure that my knee's pointing up, and it's assisted. I made a wedge with my wrist to keep it there. So that's 1, keep your knee line safe. 2, I start to load Carl onto me. I want to get his head in front of his hips, and I'm using this L-shaped foot on my lat. That's doing the horse work. The hands just assisting. And then I start to put him over one knee. Okay, that's 3. 4, if his knee is in line with his hip, I'm going to scissor. And the detail is, I don't scissor him on the hip line. I just don't want Carl's hip hitting the mat. I want him landing on his shoulder here. So the shoulder is the first thing that hits the mat. And too many people do this. They scissor sweep the person, and Carl lands on his hip. Look how far my hip is from his. There's no way I'm going to get the mat. Does that make sense? Whereas, when I'm here, the first part that hits the mat is Carl's shoulder, and it lands in line with my shoulder, and it's flat. The minute I get to there, I just let go. My hip over. Again, one more time on that. There is a lot in that, but if you think about those 5 concepts, you will make the scissor sweep a lot more high percentage. So you make sleeve control, collar control, shrimp, getting onto my side, box principle, 2 feet in the hips, 1 knee on the shoulder, and my hand on the other shoulder. Okay. Carl tries to smash my knees down, and making that wedge. Load the weight onto them. Okay. Then I put it onto 1 knee. This time Carl widens his knee. So there's no way I'm going to sweep him this way. So now I just put my foot on his knee, and I push his knee in line with the hip. And the detail is, I don't want Carl landing on his hip line. I'm putting him there. Now it's a race. Carl's looking to bring his knee under mine. So I just put my back. Come on, Carl. And I'm pinching with my knees. Make sense?